All right, let's call the meeting to order. Community Development Director Smith, would you please take roll call?
Sure. Commissioner Wigand, Commissioner Monroe,
Commissioner Monroe is present.
Commissioner Lane,
Present.
Commissioner Welch, Chair Riggs,
Chair Riggs present.
Commissioner Griesinger,
Commissioner Griesinger present.
Commissioner Goodell,
Commissioner Godell present.
Councilman Glenn Henry,
Glenn Henry is present.
and special guest Mayor Courtney Johnson.
Present.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to tonight's meeting. We value our residents and community members, and we want to make sure that anyone who wants to participate and provide input can do so. This meeting is available live via the city's website by clicking on the video link under upcoming meetings on the homepage at cityofcarver.com, or you can join remotely via Zoom conferencing services and provide input. Information related to joining the Zoom conferencing services can be found on the city's website or attached to the agenda for this meeting. We ask that anyone wishes to address the commission wait to be recognized by the chair. Be respectful, wait for your turn to speak, and don't speak over one another. Callers will still need to provide their names and addresses for the record. Looking to approve the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Commissioner Monroe will make a motion to approve the agenda.
Can I have a second to the motion?
Commissioner Lane will second.
Any further discussion? Motion by Commissioner Monroe to approve the agenda, second by Commissioner Lane. Community Development Director Smith, could you please do a roll call vote?
Commissioner Monroe,
Aye.
Commissioner Lane,
Aye.
Chair Riggs,
Chair Riggs, aye.
Commissioner Griesinger,
Commissioner Griesinger, aye.
Commissioner Goodell,
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next, approve the minutes. Approve September 17, 2020 minutes from the Planning Commission meeting. Can I have a motion to approve the September 17, 2020 Planning Commission minutes?
Commissioner Griesinger, so moved.
Can I have a second to the motion?
Commissioner Monroe will second that motion.
Any further discussion? Motion by Commissioner Griesinger to approve the September 17, 2020 Planning Commission minutes. Second by Commissioner Monroe. Community Development Director Smith, could you please do a roll call vote?
Commissioner Monroe,
Commissioner Monroe says aye.
Commissioner Lane,
Commissioner Lane says aye.
Chair Riggs,
Chair Riggs says aye.
Commissioner Griesinger,
Commissioner Griesinger says aye.
and Commissioner Goodell.
Commissioner Godell, aye.
Very good.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda for new business. Just a note, 4.1 fee schedule public hearing will be moved to the December 21st City Council meeting. Next item, 4.2, the gazebo park property acquisition. Community Development Director Smith, would you please present this information?
Yes. Thank you, Chair Riggs. Tonight we are discussing gazebo park. This probably feels a lot like a box that we need to check for our city attorney, which it is. So there's a strip of land between gazebo park as we know it and the Carver liquor store that we've been using as part of gazebo park. So we've been doing maintenance and improvements on this area without knowing that this was not part of our property. So the previous property owner of the building brought it up to us, but they were unwilling to sell the portion of the property that we were using at that time. The building has since changed hands, and the current property owner is willing to sell us a portion of the property that we've been using as part of the park. So it essentially cleans this up. It allows us to continue to use this strip of land as part of the park. So in total, it's 882 square feet that will be added to gazebo park. And what the ask is of the Planning Commission tonight is to ensure that this purchase is in compliance with the comprehensive plan. So since Gazebo Park will continue to be Gazebo Park, we will not be changing the use in the comprehensive plan. It's just a slight addition to the size of the park. I'll open it up for questions. It's really straightforward, but it was kind of tough to type out in a couple sentences in that staff report. I made Brenda go over it a couple times with me, so let me know if you have questions about it.
Was this an extension of Gazebo Park?
Yes, so it's an extension of something that we already thought was ours.
Right. Perk.
So there's really no change?
No, there's no change except for
Other than legal?
the property line. Yep.
Well, Commissioner Monroe would like to know, money's going to be involved, correct?
Correct. We will be purchasing this slice of property from the existing property owner.
Well, since we got the Gazebo Park for $1 originally, I think we're okay.
I didn't know that history. I like that.
Yeah, Carver on the Minnesota sold it to the city for $1. Many years ago.
What kind of maintenance was done to the property previously?
So a lot of our plantings are in that area, and then you can see there's a retaining wall that kind of snakes across the property. So we mow it, we maintain some plantings in the area, and then we've installed that retaining wall.
Is there anything negative
No, it
about
actually
acquiring it?
it cleans it up for us pretty nicely. It also, the property owner could at any time say that they would like our improvements removed, which would be unfortunate since we've put some work in there. So no adverse impact of this.
Councilmember Henry, do you have something?
Yes, I have a question regarding the property. It's that little narrow strip at the, I guess it would be the northeast side of the property where the cars are parked.
Yep,
Is that city property now?
it is. So our property extends up to the alley.
Are there any improvements along that part of the property?
Just mowing and maintenance. There's some gravel near the alley, but beyond that, no.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions or comments? Is there anything else that you need for us to do, Ms. Smith?
Yes.
You need a motion?
Yes.
Could I have a motion to,
I'll help you out. So it's to ensure compliance with the city's comprehensive plan.
thank you. Can I have a motion to be in with compliance with the city's 2040 comprehensive plan?
Commissioner Monroe makes that motion.
Can I have a second to the motion?
Commissioner Weigand will make a second.
Any further discussion?
It looks like Glenn might have a comment or question.
Yes, Mr. Henry.
Just a question. Do we have a dollar amount that we are proposed to be purchasing this for?
Yes, the city council will review December 4th, but it's roughly $5,000.
Okay. That's my only question.
Any other discussion topics? Motion by Commissioner Monroe to be in compliance with the city's 2040 comprehensive plan with the Gazebo Park. Second by Commissioner Weigand. Community Development Director Smith, could you please do a roll call vote?
Yes. Commissioner Weigand,
Aye.
Commissioner Monroe,
Commissioner Monroe says aye.
Commissioner Lane,
Aye.
Chair Riggs,
Chair Riggs says aye.
Commissioner Griesinger,
Commissioner Griesinger says aye.
Commissioner Goodell.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Yeah, looks good.
Next item is any communications.
I have something that I'd like to talk through with the group, and then we'll pitch it over to the rest of the group as if you have questions, comments, anything you want from us. So the city has received a recent application from a developer called Summergate out of Lakeville for Timber Creek, or the Song property. So we've run a couple processes with the Planning Commission and City Council, but just wanted to give you a heads up that we are starting to work on this project and let you know that it will be forthcoming probably this winter. So we've previously seen a concept plan, which I have in a couple slides. And then if you'll remember, we did the environmental assessment worksheet for this project. So that was required because of the number of units that were proposed. 349 units are proposed with this project, which is Carver's largest project ever, which is super exciting. Something to note about that, the 349, they will not probably all come online day one. So if you'll remember a project like Oak Tree, we reviewed the final plat in 4 phases. So they break it off into different sections essentially to do construction at different times. So Timber Creek is proposed right now to be 7 phases. So in a typical development world, in a community that's growing at a pretty standard rate, a developer will do 1 phase a year. But if you'll remember 2018, Carver is not seeing typical growth, and we will sometimes see 3 to 4 phases of a project in 1 year. So it's set to be in 7 phases right now. I'm not sure if that will happen just with the amount of growth that we're having. We're having a record year right now for building permit activity, which you probably have seen as you travel up and down Jonathan Carver Parkway. So the application that we received recently is for annexation, preliminary plat, and rezoning. So currently the Song property is outside of city limits. Annexation is the process that brings it into our city. And then, as you'll recall, anytime a property is annexed, it's default to ag zoning, which is not what this project is. So they're looking for approval of a PRD, or a Planned Residential Development Overlay District, because it's a mix of townhomes and single family. So it doesn't fit one of our standard zoning residential districts, so they're asking for some flexibility. And then preliminary plat, which is staff's heavy lift of figuring out if the project works, having them meet all of our requirements, and getting it to a point where we are excited to welcome the project into our community. After that, we'll do final plat, which is pretty standard at the end, where it's just some minor tweaks. I like to typically tackle all of the big issues during preliminary plat. So this is the concept plan that we saw over the summer, so June. I am a little apprehensive to ever show a preliminary plat this early because I don't want you to fall in love with something and then we change that portion really drastically. So I'm falling back on the concept, but I'll let you know that largely the preliminary plat does look really similar to this project. We've been working really closely with them about the alignment of Monroe Drive to make sure that it works for this project as well as all projects west, which is a really significant portion of our growth area. So again, the project is proposed at 349 units. Hopefully we're going to work really closely with the developer to get a really extensive trail system through this project, which will be exciting. There's Timber Creek, which is a large ravine on the western side of the property that we're hoping to develop similarly to Hawthorne Ridge, where we might be taking a large piece of land that we can use as more of a rustic trail, so a wood chip or gravel trail for a new amenity to have in the community. This project also, you'll see, there likely will be an expansion to Ironwood Park, which is the park next to the elementary school, with the preliminary and final plat. So some details, in total it's 162 total acres. A lot of them are unbuildable because of the large ravine, Timber Creek in that area. Right now they're proposing 75 townhomes, 117 60-foot wide lots, so that's a little bit skinnier width-wise of the lot that we typically see. I suspect that they'll be looking to hit either the 5-foot setback or the 7.5-foot setback instead of the traditional 10-foot side yard setback. And then 157 of the 65-foot wide lots, so those are more the executive. I suspect they'll want to hit the 10-foot side yard setback for those. So a mix of different housing types. Something to note about Timber Creek in this application too is that Summergate is just a developer. So they do not have a building arm that comes in and builds on the lots. So it's anticipated that when all of these lots are platted, they then will sell to a builder. So we don't know who that builder is right now. It could be multiple builders, so the project could be broken off into different areas that have different builders. So I'll keep you posted as we learn more. They have not identified a builder at this point. And again, the project has a proposed expansion to Ironwood Park. I spent some time on the city's website today updating the Timber Creek page on the residential section of the website. So if anybody starts talking about it and you want to point them to some details, send them to the city's website. My contact information is there. I'll be working to keep that page updated as we work through the process. So all of this sounds really fantastic and super fun to work on this together, but I'll remind you that we have a lot of work ahead of us as this project moves through. So again, we're running 3 processes simultaneously, so annexation, preliminary plat, and rezoning. If everything went absolutely perfectly and it went through with flying colors, I anticipate final approval of this project in April of 2021. I will also say we already have a scheduling hiccup, so we're already off a little bit already. Nothing major, we just need some work completed on a legal description that we need for annexation, so this timeline is already a little bit outdated, but a good representation of what we do as a staff before it gets to you. So just always want to ensure that we run through these projects several times with the developer to make sure it meets our zoning standards, our standard detail plates with engineering, and then also just works for the community. So part of the review process, there's a review by planning, engineering, legal, fire, public services. So we all get together, we put comment letters together that are sometimes several pages long, making sure that the project meets our standards and what we need for the community. So it's things from having a trail that we think is really important and a type of tree we don't want to see, to making sure that the type of pipe that is in the ground meets our standards and something that we can maintain. So we have a lot of work ahead of us this winter, moving Timber Creek through, but I think we all are excited to see a new residential development. And I will work super hard to keep the city's website updated, so if people are asking, send them there, send them my contact info. Otherwise, if anyone lives within 350 feet of the proposed project on any side, you're within my mailing distance. So when we have public hearings for the project, you'll get a mailer letting you know about the times and dates that we'll be meeting as a group. I suspect we will probably be via Zoom, but we can work through that together to have a public hearing go successfully in this new way. So, does anyone have questions?
I have a question. So this is one development. The developments that we currently have, are any of them, have we reviewed all the plats for those? Are they filled?
So everything that's under construction now, which is Oak Tree, Meadows, Hawthorne Ridge, and Meridian Fields are the big ones, the big new ones from 2018. Those have all been through final approval. So we won't see those back at a planning commission or city council level unless something goes pretty awry with one of them. But I don't anticipate that happening with the way the lots are flying. There's been a lot of construction this year.
And what is the number of building permits for 2020 currently?
Through the month of October, we were at 117. Something else to note too, we are up permits across the board too, so it's typical that we see quite a few single family, but as people are home more often, we are seeing an uptick too of just some residential finishes. So a lot of basement remodels, a lot of people added decks over the summer. So it's interesting to think of COVID impacting a lot of the world in a lot of ways, but we're fortunate that for our permit activity, it's actually probably bumped us up a little bit, which is interesting.
I got 2 questions, Director Smith.
Yeah.
The main collector roads for Timber Creek is what, Monroe Drive and then Ironwood?
Correct. We've been really intentional with Ironwood and Monroe. So typically we try to limit the number of driveways that are off a collector road. So you'll see that Ironwood we try to preserve for as long as we can before driveways pour into it after the townhomes, where Monroe, there are no driveways on it. And then some of these streets in here will act as more of a minor collector. So you'll see the street that runs here, there are no driveways abutting it until we get to this intersection here with Ironwood. I think, is it Boulder, Greg? You're in Copper Hills, you know what that road probably is. I think it's Boulder
That
Way.
is Boulder.
Okay.
Yes, that is Boulder Way, yes.
So Boulder, we anticipate we'll see some higher number of cars coming off of Monroe. So to get them off of Monroe quickly without hitting driveways, you'll see that we've preserved this area with no driveways pouring onto it. So some safety for residents, as well as hopefully clearing up Ironwood and Monroe to keep traffic numbers as manageable as we can.
My second question, obviously a lot of heavy lifting to do over the winter months here with meetings and public hearings and so forth. But if all goes well, come sometime next year, dirt starts getting moved. How much of an impact, if any, with the JCP project going on?
That's a really good question. So a developer typically likes to start grading after preliminary plat approval. So it's not until final plat, they often don't have to wait just for grading. So I would say grading on this project might start in earnest during the spring. JCP will kick off around the same time. So I anticipate a lot of the earthwork, streets and utilities will probably be happening around the same time. So I say it often that Jonathan Carver Parkway, the project will be hard and long, but really worth it in the end. So I think that this project will line up pretty well, that new residents won't be living in this area during that construction, but it will be quite a bit of construction for people living in Copper Hills, Oak Tree, Meridian Fields. So we ask that you give us a little bit of grace, but we will happily work with you to hopefully make it as pain-free as possible.
Thank you.
Sure.
I have another question.
Yeah.
So on the picture that you're showing, where is the difference between the lot, the 60 and the 65 foot?
So it's the green, the greener ones are the 60, and then the more executive are the lighter yellows, so the 65. And those are pretty common. They'll match what is existing in Copper Hills and then Meridian Fields as well. They both are closer to that 60-foot wide lot.
Any other questions or comments? Any other communications from anyone else?
I have a couple
Chair
more
Riggs,
things.
if I may.
Sorry, Courtney, can I give you two more?
Yeah, go. Sure, yeah, go ahead.
So as you've probably seen, Quick Trip is coming in and looking fantastic. We're anticipating a grand opening date of December 22nd. So a good early Christmas gift for residents of Carver will be the Quick Trip opening. And then I just want to note that as of yesterday, the City Hall service counter is closed to the public again. So if you need us, please call or email, but we are not allowing members from the public up into the City Hall space just to make sure that staff is staying as safe as we can here. So those are my two other ones.
Mary Johnson.
Right. So I just wanted to say hey and thank you to everybody. I try to make it to at least a couple of commission meetings every year, and tonight's the night. It always seems like October rolls around. I'm like, oh shoot, I need to swing by some of these meetings. So as always, thank you guys so much for your input. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for your dedication to making Carver a really great place to live and be. There have been a number of challenges this year, I think, as we all know, but I appreciate you guys being able to kind of bob and weave and roll with the changes. And I don't know about you, but I am certainly appreciating being able to participate in meetings remotely like this. It gives us a whole lot more flexibility, although I miss the people tremendously, and that's a lot coming from a very closeted introvert. So thank you all. Have a great Thanksgiving. That's all I got.
I have a quickie.
Yeah.
Commissioner Weigand, I just want to make sure everybody's aware that our lighting of the Christmas tree in Gazebo Park will be a very low-key item. We're going to decorate it on the 28th of November, and then we will have nothing that evening other than just lighting it up. So it will be different than originally planned and was in the newsletter. But because of the COVID issue, we're just going to light it. And if anybody wants to drive their car up and see it, that'll be fine. But we are going to have Christmas tree and lighting in the park this year again. It's just no activities to go through that process.
Thank you. Anything else from anyone else? Could I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Could I have a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Motion by Commissioner Weigand to adjourn the meeting. Second by Commissioner Lane. Community Development Director Smith, could you please do a roll call vote?
Yes. Commissioner Weigand,
Yes.
Commissioner Monroe,
Commissioner Monroe says aye.
Commissioner Lane,
Commissioner Lane says aye.
Chair Riggs,
Chair Rick says aye.
Commissioner Griesinger,
Commissioner Griesinger says aye.
and Commissioner Goodell.
Commissioner Godell, aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all.